Good morning, everybody. This is Adrienne Montgomery with ERP VAR. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about Anytime Collect 2015, and it's a accounts receivable collection application for Intuit QuickBooks. And we know that an hour of your time is hard to come by, so we really appreciate you sitting with us today. Just a couple housekeeping notes prior to getting started. There is a hand button next to your name on the webinar pane and a question mark button. We just ask if you have any questions throughout the presentation to go ahead and click on that question mark button, and a text dialog box will open up where you can indicate your question via text, and we'll read your question at the end of the webinar. If you should like to speak live, we would love to hear from you. If you prefer to ask your question live, just use that raise your hand button at the end of the webinar. We'll open it up for live collaboration. So that will just tell me to unmute your line and we can speak live. So without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and let Jim Mallory, our speaker, get started. Thank you so much, Jim.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Adrienne and ERP VAR, and for everybody for taking time out. We have a lot to go through today, so I just want to kind of paint a picture of what we're going to cover. The focus is going to be on our Anytime Collect credit collections management application that we've built. This is an application we've been offering to the market for, I don't know, probably 5-6 years now. And just recently, we made it available exclusively in a kind of a packaged version for Intuit QuickBooks. So I'm pretty excited to be able to share some of the advances that we've made to bring this technology down for the smaller business so they can gain some new efficiencies. So with that, let's go ahead and dig right into the presentation. The first thing I'm going to do is an introduction, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to talk about why we developed the application and kind of the history and some of the problems that it addresses. One of the things I always like to point out, companies don't really realize this, but on average, this is based on the research we've done, most companies are writing off about 4% of the receivables every year. So let's say that you're doing $1 million in annual revenue or annual sales. That means that you're writing off about $40,000 every year. Okay, and that's for every $1 million in revenue. What if you could get a 20% reduction in that? That would save you $8,000 annually. And then the other consideration there is how much more would you have to sell to make up for that loss? Certain industries, we work with a lot of distributors as an example. You know, they're operating on razor-thin margins, 3, 4, 5%. You have to sell a lot of product to make up for that loss. So we're really excited with the application to be able to bring this technology to smaller businesses to help them get paid faster and to avoid all these costly bad debt write-offs. So why do we develop Anytime Collect for QuickBooks? We looked at the small business market, and what we discovered was that if you're a small business, it doesn't matter if you have 5 employees, 1 employee, 20 employees, you are especially vulnerable to cash flow issues. You know, I remember when we were a much smaller company, and we would go sell, right? We sell product, we sell service, and then we would have cash flow issues because we weren't paying attention to our accounts receivable. And all of a sudden, the boss would come in and say, hey, we need to make payroll next month, and we have all this buildup in our accounts receivable. We need to get paid so that we can pay you. And this is an issue for small business owners, especially because they don't have a dedicated staff that's trained or has the appropriate tools to be effective in managing their accounts receivable. So it's even more important for, I believe, the small business owner. Small businesses also have a harder time securing business loans, right? If you're, established 1 or 2 years ago, you don't have an established credit line, or maybe you're paying higher interest rates. So it's incredibly important for the small business to be able to have access to that working capital. The other thing that we looked at was the fact that most small businesses really have no formalized accounts receivable or collections process. They're using a mix of aging reports, the variety pack of highlighters, those types of things to manage it. And it's really ineffective. The last point here, The reason we developed it is because there really wasn't anything in this space available for a very affordable price for the small business owner. There are other applications on the QuickBooks marketplace that are available that are similar in some respects to what we provide, but most of them are very, very basic. They offer no customization, and for the QuickBooks user that is a little bit more sophisticated, those apps basically fall apart, where with Anytime Collect we have 3 editions. The functionality scales depending on your unique needs, and we'll talk about that in today's presentation. So this is what your process looks like today. I would almost bet the farm on it because we work with a lot of QuickBooks customers. You sell something, right? Doesn't matter if you're selling product or service. We have a good mix of customers using the product in service industries or distributors, manufacturers, those types of businesses. So you sell it, and then if you're lucky, it takes you about a week, maybe more, to create and send the invoice to the customer, and then nothing happens. You basically are sitting there on a wing and a prayer hoping that your customers are going to pay you on time. It's almost like somebody turned out the lights, like everything goes dark, right? We have all these processes in place to manage our sales, marketing to sales, then we sell it, and we basically are just sitting there waiting to get paid. Anytime Collect fills that gap. It's everything that happens from the time the invoice is created in QuickBooks to the time you get paid. Now, what we know is that a lot of our customers aren't going to pay us on time, and the invoices are going to continue to age, and that's going to cause problems for us. We're going to realize we have a major cash issue on hand, cash flow issue. We're going to start dialing for dollars, but in a lot of cases, it's going to be too late, right? We're calling, 6 months after they were supposed to pay us. At that point in time, they've either moved on, or there's a dispute on an invoice and we have to go research something that we don't have a lot of information on. So we really need to be more proactive at the front end of that process. The other problem that we all have, right, is that our systems are all over the place. We have some data in QuickBooks. We have maybe some data in a CRM system. We have email communications with our customers in Outlook. We have printed aging reports with a lot of scratches and notes on it. And we have a lot of information, tribal knowledge that's in our own heads and is not available for other people to access. And it's taking us way too long to figure out what we already did and what we need to do next. And I know a lot of you on the call today can relate to this. So let's talk about kind of the features and benefits that we provide with Anytime Collect. We can automate email reminders to customers, so if they have invoices coming to due in the next 3 or 5 business days, they can receive a friendly reminder that invoice is coming due. Unlike some of the other apps that are available, we allow you to customize the email templates, and you can also customize some of the what we call a report template, which would be your collection letters or your past due notices. We're going to help you reduce bad debt write-offs. We're going to help you improve cash flow and working capital. We're going to centralize everything into one system, so you're not looking for information in your personal email account. We're going to streamline the process and make it incredibly easier so you can get paid a lot faster and a lot easier than you ever imagined. Okay. Functionally, I wanted to put up kind of a graphic here to kind of paint a picture of all the things that we do within the application. And we do have the 3 editions. So what we're going to focus on really today is the basic edition for QuickBooks. And we do a lot of things there, right? We can do the automated email, the mail merge templates. We can give you a prioritized list of the companies that you need to call. We have built-in document management, so you can store information about your customers, contracts, bills of lading, things like that. We do some cash forecasting in the software, bringing all that information into a central location, providing a real nice dashboard and reports and inquiries for you so you can analyze what's going on and how effective you are. And then we do provide the out-of-the-box integration with QuickBooks. Now, for the companies that are looking for something a little bit more, our standard and enterprise editions include everything that you see in the basic, but they also help you with dispute management. They enable online customer payments via credit card or ACH. We have a number of global options that we've rolled out. We support multi-currency, multi-ERP, multi-company. We are also launching multilingual, The languages we'll be supporting are English, United States version, British English, Hebrew, of all things, Spanish, and Portuguese. And there are others that are slated for release later this year. Email alerts, user notifications, credit team management if you have a larger team, as well as credit risk management. Let's talk a little bit about how we integrate with QuickBooks, and we're going to focus on two areas here. For those of you on the call today that are using the QuickBooks Online or QBO application, it's a very, very streamlined integration. So you basically are going to go to your QuickBooks Online. You'll sign up for the trial. We'll walk through that here in a little bit. And then within our application, there's a sync schedule. You can schedule the data sync to pull the data from QuickBooks Online, and that moves it into our database. Okay, we are a Microsoft managed partner. Our data is on their Microsoft SQL Azure cloud. They're one of the larger cloud providers out there, so very secure. That data then is accessed from our application, which is also hosted on Microsoft Azure. Okay, so it's 100% true software as a service, web-based application. And below that graphic there, you can see how the data sync works. So within our software, there's a menu item, and we'll show you this later, where you can do sync data. It'll take you to the sync screen, and then you can either manually initiate the sync, or you can see that there's a little button for schedule sync, where you can set up the schedule to automatically synchronize the data from QuickBooks into Anytime Collect, daily or hourly, or however frequently you want that information pulled in. Okay. QuickBooks Desktop. This is a little different. If you look on the bottom there, we got the little QuickBooks Desktop box there you're going to buy. It doesn't matter to us which version, Pro, Premier, Enterprise, Super Enterprise. If it's getting installed on the desktop, we're using an SDK, or Software Developer Kit, that we've had available for a number of years to pull that data in via a scheduled Windows task. Okay. Now, where that data goes is going to depend on your choices. With the desktop edition, you can choose to either push that up to our cloud, right, again on Microsoft Azure, pushing that outside of your firewall into the cloud, and then you would connect via the web browser, okay, and that also would be hosted on Azure. The other option, we don't run into too often, but every once in a while we run into a company that has some very specific requirements where they want to have an application that's hosted within their firewall on their own domain. We run into it most often in medical industries where there's maybe some HIPAA compliance, specifically around how they handle email. If that's the case, we do have an option with our Enterprise Edition to be able to sync that data to an on-premise version of Microsoft SQL Server, and then you can set up our application and host it on an IIS server within your domain. So in essence, what you're setting up here is a completely in-house, on-premise instance of the software. Again, that's maybe 1% of all the companies we work with, but it is available. I want to talk a little bit about the Intuit Sync Manager. Some of you on the call today may be aware of this tool. It was available with certain versions of QuickBooks Pro, Premier, and Enterprise. And what it basically did was it copied your company file up to Intuit's cloud, which they call the Intuit Partner Platform. And Intuit pushed a lot of us out there, a lot of the third-party developers like Anytime Collect, to be able to develop applications to integrate to this strategy. No sooner did we finish that integration than we got a notice from Intuit announcing that they're discontinuing this for the desktop. Okay, this is still available for QuickBooks Online, but if you are not using the Sync Manager today, you will not be able to sign up for it or to utilize it after March 1st of this year. If you are currently using the Sync Manager, you will be able to continue using that as a means to integrate with Anytime Collect and other apps until March 1st of 2016. At that point in time, Intuit is going to end all support for that utility. I don't know if that means that it goes away altogether, if it's simply unsupported, but we have strategy in place that will address that. We do have some customers that are using that Intuit Sync Manager today. We will continue to support them, and then we will be moving them to our SDK integration down the road. We are also looking at other options. There's a tool out there that we're investigating where we can basically do the same thing Intuit did with the IPP cloud strategy, where we would take a copy of your company file, upload it to Microsoft Azure, and then we could connect to it there on the cloud. The reason that Intuit claims that they've discontinued this utility is that more of you are buying QuickBooks Online than QuickBooks Desktop. And we do agree that the market is moving more toward a cloud model. Our major concern with that is that Intuit has some pretty significant functional gaps to close with QuickBooks Online, especially if you're a distributor or manufacturer and you're very inventory centric. I do know that they have announced plans to address that with some different acquisitions and new features they're adding. But quite honestly, we're kind of stuck in limbo there. There's a reason a lot of people implement the desktop today, and that's because functionally it does a lot more than online. So we'll continue to monitor that. All right, so that's the introduction. Why don't we show you what this application looks like? And I'm going to start the demonstration from within QuickBooks Online. Okay, so within QuickBooks Online, I can go to the Apps menu and let the GoToMeeting catch up. The demo is a little slow because the GoToMeeting slows it up. And I can go over to My Apps, and then I can go to Anytime Collect. I've already set up the trial for the software, and I can go ahead and launch the application directly from within QuickBooks Online. Okay. While we wait for that to load up, I want to show you another way. This would be for the desktop users, how they would be able to access the application. You'd simply go to my.anytimecollect.com, which is linked off of our main domain. And I actually have to log out here to show you that I can do a sign-in with Intuit. So even if you're a desktop user, you will have an account with Intuit to use the online apps, and you would use that then to connect the two systems so you can do a login directly from our main login page. Okay. So when you come into the software, the first thing you're going to see is the home page. You'll probably ignore it. It's got a lot of advertising on it. But what I want to do is walk through the dashboard. I want to show you the actions, which tell you what you need to do. And then we'll look at a couple of the other features, and then we'll go back in and talk about how you can sign up for a trial. Wait for the GoToMeeting to catch up. There we go. So the dashboard is pretty cool. The dashboard at the very top is going to show you projected cash receipts. This is based on your customer's payment history coming out of QuickBooks. So if you have customers that typically pay 10 days late on a particular sized invoice, we're looking across all of the invoices in QuickBooks, all of the payments historically against those invoices, and we're comparing that to similar sized invoices that are open for your customers. And then we can give you a projected cash receipt summary from the next 7 days out to the next 35 days. Okay. If I scroll down, you can also see an aging. Probably not that big of a deal for you, but a couple things that are a little unique. We can give you your average days late, and we can trend that over a period of time. I just set this up so I don't have history here to show the trend, but you can see here that we're sitting at about 20-some days late on average, 27 days late on average across our customers and invoices. Days sales outstanding, a lot of small companies we work with don't know what that means. It basically is a measure of how fast you get paid. So 56 is probably not too terrible. If you're offering on average net 30 terms, that means you're on average getting paid 26 days late. So there actually is a lot of room for improvement. We're also going to give you a picture of your average days late by the size of the invoice, and this is calculated dynamically. Now, the Intuit QuickBooks data I'm working with is severely flawed. It's all kind of post-dated out into the future. Your chart probably isn't going to see that companies are paying you 340 days early. Your chart will probably be the opposite of this. But this will give you a picture where maybe larger dollar invoices, your customers are paying you on time on those because those are the ones you're calling on more frequently, where maybe they're letting the smaller dollar invoices slide. So you get kind of a visual representation on where you need to focus your time and energy. If I scroll down a little bit, we're going to see cash that we received or cash that was due last week and this week. We're also going to get a summary of all the activities that we performed to get our money, whether those were phone calls we made, emails we sent, or notes that we made on the account. And then at the very bottom, we're going to get a list of our top customers. Okay, and we can sort this down. So maybe we want to look at customers that have the highest balances over 120 days. So simply click on that column header, and it'll resort everything for us. Okay, I'm actually going to go into full screen mode here, and we're going to look at our actions. So what happens is when the data sync runs, it's going to pull in all of the new information from QuickBooks. It's going to bring in any updates or changes you've made to customer accounts, contacts. It's going to bring in invoices. It's going to bring in payments and payment applications as well. We're then going to synchronize, we're going to age that information, and we have a rules engine that you don't even need to touch that will run, and it will create actions so that you know what you need to do. You don't have to go back to your aging report anymore. This list tells me exactly the things that I need to do to get paid. So I've got past due notice here. These are accounts that have a balance that's more than 45 days past due, and I have 7 of those on my list. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that link and see which customers I need to call. So I've got the 7 here, and I can start right at the top if I want. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Ecker Design, and I'm going to go ahead and open them with a new communication. This is going to take me to the account detail screen so I can see a lot of information about the customer. That's going to be important to me while I'm making my collection calls. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and look at all open invoices. Again, I'm dealing with a lot of future invoice information from my demo system. So it's telling me I need to do something about this customer. From here, I can go ahead and access account information so I can get a little bit more detail about the customer. Wait for the GoToMeeting to catch up. There we go. And I can find out things like, currency. Most of you are going to be Canadian or U.S. dollars. We do support multi-currency. Their highest balance and date, number of days past due, their credit terms, credit limits, their available credit, oldest due dates, are they on credit hold. We can also see when the last date of the credit review was, or we can manually enter a credit score. If I go over to the Info tab, I'll get the kind of static information about the customer, their address, the sales rep, the company. We are multi-company, so if you have multiple companies set up in QuickBooks, that is an option. We will see from a history perspective their average days late, again broken out by the size of the invoice. This information here is actually in our standard enterprise edition if you want to track broken promises to pay or disputes. And we do also have the aging. Contacts will be synchronized in from QuickBooks, but I know in some versions of QuickBooks you're only able to maintain 1 contact. We allow you to add and maintain additional contacts within Anytime Collect, and you can do that on the screen here. And then from a transaction standpoint, you can see most recent payments. You can also see open invoices sorted from the oldest to the newest right here at your fingertips. So all that information, you don't have to go to another system. You don't have to go back to QuickBooks. It's right there at your fingertips. All right, I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to view my contact. I'm going to select Deanna here. I'm going to add her to my notes. And then I can go ahead and make that phone call and then log the results of that call. And let's say that she didn't get the invoice and said she will pay if we resend them. Okay. Now, a couple things I can do here. I can go ahead and tag these so that I can find out how many times did I talk to this customer about a particular invoice. Maybe this is the one that I talked to her about specifically. I can go ahead and do an attachment. With the basic edition, if you have a PDF copy of the original invoice that's available, maybe stored on a network share somewhere, you go ahead and browse and add that into the communication here. I can also do a mail merge letter on the fly. Maybe I want to send her a statement or an open invoice report. So we're going to go ahead and do a mail merge. Again, these templates can be customized for you, and I don't have the data set up, so you're not going to see that here. You can then go ahead and send the email. And actually, I'm going to send that to my demo account, so I can show you that. Okay, and then I go ahead and put in my email. You guys all know how to do that, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. And then when I'm done with this, I can go ahead and save and send. I've logged the results of my phone call. I'm sending an email out to the customer. I could choose at this point to resolve this issue, and that basically removes it from my to-do list so that I know that I've already handled that. We're then going to let the rules engine on the back end tell us if we need to pay attention to it down the road, because the way the rules are set up, this might be, this is my past due more than 45 days. I've got other actions over here that'll be triggered at 60 days past due or 70 days past due. So I can wait for the system to tell me if this is still outstanding as an issue that requires my attention. Okay. I could also schedule a follow-up for myself manually, and I can also set the follow-up date, and that'll appear then over here in my actions list. I'll have a list of all my follow-ups that are scheduled. Okay. So one last thing here, we do have the ability to store the customer documents. So if I have like a customer contract or really anything I want to store for the customer, maybe it's a credit report, maybe it's a business credit application, those are available for me to store in a customer document folder. And I'm going to go ahead and save and send. It's going to save that I actually did this transaction or this communication with the customer, and it'll put the history here for the account. It's then going to transmit that email out to the customer. With the basic edition, it goes out as a no reply, so they cannot reply back. You can only communicate out via email. If you go with the standard or enterprise edition, we do also support inbound email retrieval. So we're able to take any of your customers' responses and bring them back into the software automatically. At the bottom of the screen, you can also see we can put in account notes for the customer. Things like, maybe AP contact only works Monday, Wednesday, and Friday till noon. Right? So any notes we want to put about the account, we can maintain here as well. All right. So that's kind of a high-level overview of the communications. Very easy, very straightforward. I would complete that one. I'd come back over here. I'd do a refresh, go back into that grid, make my other 6 calls, and then maybe I'd work on the past dues that are 31 to 45 days late. I have one there. I'd finish that. And at the end of the day, the goal is to have nothing left to do. Now, you can run this process as frequently as you want. We have customers that are running it every day to get a new action list. We have other smaller customers that are running it once a week. They just want to know, what do I need to do this week? Okay, so very flexible on kind of how you want to use the software. A couple other things I do want to show you. One is the My Account screen. If you want to look at all of your customers in one place with the ability to filter and kind of sort down on the information, that is available here. We have some predefined settings, so if you want to look at the cash projection, for example, and which customers am I expecting statistically a cash receipt from. I can click on that setting. It's going to load the grid up and show me those accounts. If I want to look at anything coming due in like the next 7 days, we have a view of that information. Okay. And we have nobody. Let me go back to our all setting. I want to show you one more feature, and then we're going to go back into the webinar. So one thing that I really like too, and a lot of our smaller customers like this, is if you don't want to use the actions, that's fine. You can use these settings to filter down who you want to call. Maybe I want to send these people a report. I can go ahead and click the reports button, pick the report I want to send them. Maybe it's a statement or a past due notice. I can process it and preview it, or I can process it and have the system send that out automatically to my customers. Okay. So that's kind of a high-level overview here. The one last thing that I do want to show you real quick, in admin, you can go to my profile. This is where you would see your subscription or your trial subscription to the software. You can also buy the software from that screen if you so choose. You can go to the sync setup or schedule from the sync data menu here. When you go through the system setup, you can always go back through it if you want to make changes by accessing the setup wizard. If you want to generate actions, that's my to-do list. That's available here. And then I have a log file that would show me specifically if I sent emails out and the emails were undeliverable, I could look at an email log file. Last but not least, there's 3 ways if you're going to use the trial to be able to get into our online support if you have any questions whatsoever. One is this little green button will stay with you throughout the trial. What's next? Click here to get started. The other option is to go directly to the support site. We do use Zendesk for that, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. And the last option is to click the help icon here at the top of the screen. But I'm going to go ahead and click the little green button here during the trial. And this is going to provide you information on our basic edition. It's going to give you information on how to set up the system, questions on maybe how to use the system. You can always go back to the support site, access different videos. We have getting started guides. We have a knowledge base of questions. Anything you might want to know about, or you can search the entire support site. We have frequently asked questions. We also have an online community where you can participate and ask questions of other users. Okay. If you happen to have a support request, you can come in here and either leave us a message, or if we have a support agent online, you can chat with them live. You can also submit and review support requests at the top of the screen here. Okay. We'll go ahead and minimize that, and we're going to go back to the webinar. Let's talk a little bit now about the 30-day free trial that we're offering. The best way to go about doing is to go to QuickBooks Online. Even if you're a desktop customer, go to QuickBooks Online. It's QuickBooksOnline.com, and you're going to see the Start My Free Trial button. You can go ahead and sign up for that. And then there's a setup wizard for QuickBooks Online that you're going to walk through. And one of the steps in that allows you to import your data from QuickBooks for Windows or Mac, or to connect directly to your QBO account. Okay. If you're currently using QuickBooks Online today, we can connect the trial directly to your live QuickBooks Online account. This is really more for the desktop folks on the presentation today. The wizard will walk you through, let you pick your version of QuickBooks, and then it's going to give you instructions on what you need to do to be able to export your data, to be able to import that for the trial of QuickBooks Online that you can connect then to Anytime Collect. A little word of caution: if you are signing up for the QBO trial and you're not either uploading your company data from the desktop or linking to a QBO account that already has data in it, The QuickBooks trial does not have demo data in it, so you would then either need to manually enter that or upload it, okay? And if you do choose to manually enter this information for the trial, we suggest you set up at least 5 to 10 customers, enter about a dozen invoices, make a few payments, so you can see the average days late information on the dashboard. The company file that you create from the desktop that can be uploaded will create basically a file that'll be out here. You'll get this screen or something similar to it depending on your version. And once you've got all that done, like we showed you earlier, you can go to apps.com either within your QBO account like we did, or you can go to apps.com and browse and find Anytime Collect, look at the reviews, look at the information on the product, and then sign up from the trial for there. The app card on apps.com provides a lot of information, video, sample screens, functional overview, pricing, and more. The sign-up process, we're going to walk through that right now. It literally takes you just a matter of minutes once you have everything set up for the data to be able to sign up for the trial. So the first screen you're going to get is this one here. You'll enter your email address, your name, your company name, and your time zone. Some of that information may default from your QuickBooks Online trial. You're then going to get a welcome message from us thanking you for trying us out. And you're going to go into our application. The first thing you're going to need to do is to authorize a connection so that Anytime Collect can connect to your QuickBooks account. After that, you're going to run the data sync for the first time. And you're prompted, you can see these little circles that appear at the top of the screen. It'll walk you through this process. Once you've synchronized the data, the next step is to continue to the setup wizard, where you'll actually set up some of the custom parameters for your version of the software. And these are the screens you're going to see in the setup wizard. So the first one, again, will pull a lot of information if it's available in your QuickBooks Online into this. You're then going to confirm or enter your remit to address. You're then going to be presented with a screen where you can select which action alerts that we provide out of the box you want to use. You can make them inactive if you don't want to use them. And you're going to see the little email icon there. The email icon allows you to edit the email template that's associated with that action alert. And these would be email alerts email templates that you either want to use manually or have the system send out automatically. Okay, so you do have a lot of control over the content within the email. You can also edit the contents of the past due notice and the collection letter template. And by clicking on those hyperlinks, you're going to get the reports will come up, and any of the areas in red, you're able to edit those. So you can have some custom messaging that's specific to your company. And then the last step, step 3, is going to say go ahead and generate your actions so that you know what you need to do. And that's it. You've connected, you've got the data. We looked at it earlier in the demo. You've got your dashboard, you've got your actions, you know what you need to do. And then you can always go back up to that green circle that's going to be there throughout your trial that'll walk you through what you need to do to get started. We talked a little bit, I showed you actually the online support. Talked about, when you're done with the trial, if you want to purchase, you simply go and do that from the My Profile under the admin menu. The other option is you can always call our support desk, especially if you have questions maybe about what we add with the Standard Edition or the Enterprise Edition. We'd be happy to help you evaluate the additional functionality that would be available to you and see if it makes sense for you to use one of those editions instead of the basic edition. So the $1 million question, which doesn't cost you $1 million, is how much does it cost? And I think it's pretty reasonable. And you can get into Anytime Collect with the basic edition for $60 a month. Let's compare that. Most of us are probably spending that much or more in gas. We're probably spending more than that with a cell phone bill, especially if we have teenagers in the house, which I do. Or we go out to a nice restaurant, it's probably going to cost you more than $60. And my million-dollar question to you on the call today is, what is the value of your accounts receivable? It's probably worth $60 a month. If you look at it, in many businesses, accounts receivable is your number one asset and your most important source of working capital. So $60 a month to be able to manage it effectively, to be able to reduce bad debt write-offs, be able to get paid faster, I certainly think is a no-brainer. Let's talk a little bit about the benefits. Most of our customers are seeing a return on their investment in about 2 months. Most companies that start with us, their day sales outstanding is about 60 on average net 30 terms. They're getting about a 20% reduction within the first year. And that means you're getting paid 12 days faster, which is pretty significant. It allows you to maximize your cash flow. This is your money we're helping you get paid faster on. We're eliminating your need for short-term loans, factoring, or collection agency fees. You're never going to eliminate it altogether, but if you could do a lot more collections internally and a lot more effectively and cut out the collection agency, why wouldn't you want to do that? Keep more of your money, on average 10 to 20% more. And as you guys saw with the demonstration today, it's incredibly easy to use the application. You're going to save a lot of time and a lot of money by being a lot more effective because you have everything right in front of you in one place, and you have the automation that can save you a lot of time as well. As far as the industries that we target, we have customers really across the board. Anybody that sells to another company on credit terms is going to have accounts receivable management issues. Whether you're a distributor, a manufacturer, a business service provider, computer software publishers, construction, transportation, logistics, legal services, and the list goes on the types of companies that we've worked with. Just wanted to share a little quote with you here. This was one of our customers that absolutely fell in love with the application. A little bit bigger company, but they said that it's a much better system than the $1 million system they used before in the areas that it performs the same tasks. What kind of ROI can you expect? Typically a 10 to 20% reduction in your DSO, 25% reduction in past due receivables, 15 to 25% reduction in your bad debt write-offs, and then everything else we talked about, right? More effective, more productive, do more with less people. And if you question it, you can go out on anytimecollect.com. We have an ROI calculator. You can plug in some numbers there, and we will actually calculate a return on investment that we would expect for you. So you can get a very custom ROI calculation. So you're going to save all this money. We have some recommendations on what you can do with it. You could donate it to charitable foundation. We tend to work with Save the Children, very highly ranked on Charity Navigator. You could give your employees a much needed bonus, make them happy. You could lower your prices and be a little more competitive and really hurt your competition. You could use that money you're saving for capital investments, buy new equipment, maybe buy a building, expand your building, lots of different things you could do there. Or you can keep it all for yourself. It's mine, all mine. I licked it first. I just love this picture here. So just to wrap up the presentation here, we have a number of resources that are available to you if you want to know more about kind of best practices in credit collections management. We have all these white papers that we've developed that have very specific tips and tricks and suggestions around how to develop business credit policies, how to manage invoice disputes, how many people you should have managing your accounts receivable. We have an accounts receivable year-end checklist, 17 things you should be doing to reduce outstanding AR. We have a white paper all around developing credit collections, letters, call scripts, and email templates. So lots of resources available to you. We'll make those all available to you for free. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation today. It was certainly my pleasure to show it to you. While I kick it over to Adrian for questions and answers, I do have my contact information on the screen. If you have any questions whatsoever, get a hold of me. I would be happy to answer them. We also have a resource guide that we will provide to you that has links to videos and different brochures that you can use to evaluate the application. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it back over to Adrian.
Thank you, Jim. Great presentation. We do have a question here, and I do want to launch a poll. So I'm going to launch a poll while I'm announcing the questions. Are you interested in learning more? If you could just take a second to answer that question, that'd be great. We are recording this presentation, and we will send the recording to everybody who registered. Looks like, Jim, do you help Intuit Pro Advisors market this solution?
That is an absolutely fantastic question, and 100% absolutely. We do have a couple of pro advisors. I say a couple. There's several pro advisors that we work with today. If you need content for a blog or a newsletter, we have a lot of resources available. The white papers that we mentioned, you guys could put those on your website as a call to action behind a landing page or a form to develop leads for this. And the beautiful part of the pro advisors is we'll work with you depending on the relationship that you want to have. Some of the pro advisors we work with, they simply want to do referrals. They'll market the application, but they don't really want to get involved in the implementation or the sales process. And that's fine. You refer that to us. We do have a referral program in place where you can make a commission or a margin on those sales. But we also have other pro advisors that want to be very proactive in the process, more involved in the sales, more involved even in the implementation projects, especially for our standard enterprise edition. And those are also options for you. You can make a little bit more on those sales as well. So absolutely, if you have any questions about marketing, contact me. I'm actually the director of marketing here, and I'd be happy to talk about all the resources we have and how we can help you out.
And I'll be sending Jim's contact information in the follow-up email, everybody, so you will have one point of contact that you can easily reach out to for any questions. And Jim, can we use the white papers and the documents that you displayed on our own website as marketing collateral?
Absolutely. I would highly suggest it. We use it quite effectively for lead generation on our website, so any of the pro advisors that are on the site today, feel free to put those out there, put them behind a landing page, develop the leads, and then contact us, and we'll work those opportunities in tandem.
I don't see any other questions. Well, thank you, everybody, once again for joining us. We really appreciate your time today. And Jim, thank you for the excellent presentation.
Well, as always, Adrian, thank you very much, and thank you again to everybody that attended. We're really, really excited about Anytime Collect and making it available at such an attractive price point for the small business. A lot of companies don't realize they have a problem with AR, but once they get in front of Anytime Collect and see what it can do for them, it's like a light bulb goes off. And we're really excited at the opportunity to work with the pro advisors as well. So I guess with that, just give us a call and let us know how we can help you out.
All right, everybody, take care.
Excellent. Thank you, Adrian.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.